Welcome back to the shop, everybody. It's been a few days since I have done anything on the trailer. Really, only thing that I've done so far today is cut off the shims that were sticking out right here just because I wanted to get those taken care of. But today's project is going to be cutting down the pieces of thin plywood to be able to fit for the front and this curve, as well as the top of the trailer. Now the only portion that really needs to be cut is I need a 17-inch piece right here. Then I need to do all those little strips, little strip cuts about every inch or so, all the way up to here where that sheet will end. And then I will be taking the other full sheets, laying them up on top. Now I have actually removed the top two sheets of those that were down there because they're all warped, like fairly badly. And I don't want to have to deal with stapling in warped wood to the top and the front of this. So I'm going to pull out the better pieces of wood out of there right now, shove them up on top and figure out which one I want to use for this curved piece here. Alrighty, so now I'm going to line these up back here. Now, I made a mistake. When I calculated out where the ribs needed to be, I calculated for the inside pieces of ply, these ones, and not these ones. Now, it may not seem like that's a big deal. However, once I get to the back here, you'll see the ply only goes up to right here. So I'm gonna have to cut a strip right here that will go and finish that out. So this piece of wood here gets lined up pretty much with that there. Now today I'm probably only going to get to cutting out this stuff here. Probably not gonna end up gluing it and nailing it in place today. So these here will be able to get adjusted when I do that. So what you just saw was actually a couple of days ago. And what we were doing was cutting the edges and all of the ridges in this board here to help it curve a little bit. And I've actually set this on a curve for about the last 2 to 3 days because it was just way too hot outside to be working in this here shop. And the reason why I put it on a curve was to that hopefully coax it into wanting to make the curve the proper direction on the trailer, because it was awfully stiff still even after we got done cutting that. And so today what we're going to do is I've got to cut those down to about 5.5 feet. That way then there's not a full 8 feet hanging off of the edge there. Just makes it a little easier to work with. I've also got to cut the board that goes across the bottom of here about the same length. Then once that's done, it's just going to be a matter of double checking that I have everything marked on the sides of the trailer so that I know exactly right where the little cross members are. And then I can start applying the roof sections, which is actually a pretty big step because that means that it will cover in all of the electric, all of the foam, all of it will not be able to be accessed from the outside. That's why I'm double and triple checking that everything is done right out here so that there's no issue in the future. Fingers crossed. Instead of showing you guys cutting those to length, because that's nothing special or fun, I'm just gonna get right back to you as soon as I start applying the outer roof. So like everything else on this project, nothing can ever go easy like I think or hope that it will. Basically, I found out that these are all off by a little bit, and that's causing issues with putting the paneling up because, as I'm about to show you, one side lines up properly and the other side does not. This side here is just about where it should be. at, I'll show you, it's supposed to be right about there, and this one is supposed to be right about there. But when I put them like this, where they should be good, this side here doesn't line up at all. Now that wouldn't be an issue if I could just take another piece of board, shove it up there and keep on going back and deal with it at the end. I have to have this piece stapled in. Right, it's got to staple to something besides just the sidewall. And what I was thinking about doing is saying, okay, there is plenty down here for me to staple to, right? The very bottom of the floor, there's plenty to staple to. So I was thinking about just doing the rounded portion first, and then working my way forward and back from there. However, with it only being me and trying to hold it up there all at the same time as I'm trying to get it lined up, I can't get it to sit flat enough where I can actually see if it's going to line up on this joist here or not. Because the way that it looks is that that top one might be a little bit off as well. Now I measured from the bottom of the trailer all the way up, both of them are very close to each other. So it shouldn't be an issue, but I'm just feeling really frustrated and defeated right now because somewhere down the line, I once again messed up. I had to say that, make sure you got all your measurements perfect when you go to build your trailer, or if you go to build your trailer, because although this won't be seen, it's causing an issue. And what I'm thinking I'm gonna end up doing is I'm gonna end up having to cut out some of this insulation and putting a board in there so that I have something to tack it to. But the problem is that just doing that, putting this on and then putting the other one on, is I don't know where that other one's gonna land. And if I'm putting glue and stuff on these, I don't wanna have to be taking them back off to fix any issues. So I'm gonna get it figured out and I'll be back with you guys. All right, so after another call to my dad and talking through a few things, I think what's gonna happen is you can see that this side there's wood there, this side there is not. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to go ahead and add in a whole nother piece going from this end all the way down here to this end that'll be thick enough to be able to have something to nail to. Then up here I'll have to do the same thing because there's only like 2/16 of an inch overhang on here, and I would like a little bit more than that to nail to. So I'm gonna go ahead and add in those pieces of wood, and hopefully then we can nail and glue that into place. Luckily, nobody will ever see this except for the people that watch this video. As I stated before, this is not a how-to channel, this is a what not to do channel. So I'm gonna go ahead and get on that and show you guys what I end up with. All right, so as you guys can see now, I've actually got two boards in here. One extra board just wasn't gonna be enough, so I did have an extra rib that wasn't cut to length yet, so I just went ahead and used that and a littler board that goes all the way across now, and then I cut these down. I also added in a half of a board on the top because the other half of the trailer already had a board. All right, so the first thing I did for that bottom piece was to add in a couple little spacers because I didn't want the bottom piece to be directly touching the frame. Then I added a bead of PL Premium and I placed the plywood in place, and once that was done I was able to staple the bottom of it, working from one side out, and then I did the top that way, and then I worked my way to the right of the trailer. I pulled a chalk line so that I knew exactly right where that center joist was at, and I also nailed that down real nice and good as well. I also of course nailed it to the wall sections as well. And that brings us to today, which is a couple days later, and we are going to be gluing the front to top portion on here, as well as hopefully the very back roof pieces as well. All right, now I didn't record yesterday, however, I did do a little something. And what I did was added in a little bit more blockage in a couple of spots up top. And the reasoning for that is that with the trim that I am looking at for this trailer and the thickness of the type of roof rack that I want to put on top of this, there just wasn't enough to really securely bolt the roof rack to. So I went ahead and added in a couple pieces of 2x4. As you can see right here, there's one right there and there isn't right here. Most of the trailer looks like this, but there are 4 spots that have more on them. One of them is right here, and the other one, which I can't show you because the plywood is here, is right in this area here. And of course that is mirrored on the opposite side as well. And I have the measurements written down so that I don't forget where those are at, because that could end up being disastrous. And there we go, we now have the front curve. A few nails that are sticking up, but I can knock those down with the hammer. All right, now for this fun part. All right, so now we got all of the roof on, all the way back except for that little piece right there, which will get put on here in a little bit. The next step is to router out all of the extra that we got sitting all the way back here. Luckily that one there came close to being right on the edge there, but it'll be fine. Just hopefully too much of that glue doesn't get stuck in this, because that might not be fun. So you're laughing at over there. Look at him over here laughing at me, talking to the camera over here. So all right, so that's the next step, and I need to do that so then I can today, so that I can go and staple it all along the edge here before the glue dries, because been there, done that, don't want to do it again. No, this isn't a DIY channel, but it helps if you plug your tools in. So I just used a flush trim bit to cut all of that and make it nice and even with the walls. And I think that it turned out pretty nice on this side. I still got to do the other side, but I'm not going to make you guys watch that. But as you see right here, there is some gaps, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back with that PL Premium, and I'm going to go ahead and put in a bead to fill any of those little gaps up to make it nice and tight. You want to make sure you get any of this excess glue off of there, because it is a pain to take care of later on in the future. All right, so I got both sides as well as this portion and the top dividers, both PL premiumed. And as you saw, I also went ahead and cut out the skylight. But I also got this little strip up here put into place, as well as the little strip down here, just to even things out there. So yeah, the next step would be, or could be, putting the pylon onto the sides as well as the roof. Now I know you're saying, but you don't even have back doors to this thing yet. Well, the thing is that the back doors need to be done after the pylon on the rest of the trailer. And the reason for that is that if I run out of pylon, I would much rather it be on a small piece of the trailer where I can very easily just order a 5x5 sheet or whatever I needed. So I need to start thinking about that, and what that will entail is figuring out exactly what edging I want, because I'm just going to float it and not glue it directly to the trailer. Just seems that that's what most people are doing, and it's working out perfectly fine for them. My thoughts on it are also that if any moisture did happen to get inside in between the wood and the pylon, that if there's glue there, it's just gonna stay there. Where with the pylon floated, it should be able to at least to make its way out somewhere. Can't believe how dirty my mustache is here. And not only do I need to get that ordered, but I also already ordered all of the aluminum for the doors. So that should be on its way fairly soon. So since I can't really do anything else with that, I need to figure out what I'm gonna do for the galley, because I need to figure out how high the countertop is going to be, exactly where the slide out drawer for the stove is going to be, as well as the cooler. Then between that, I have planned a little area for a water jug. And yes, I know that I still got to get the wiring finished in this, but I'm going to wait for that until the pylon is on, because then I can go ahead and insert the fan in there and just do it all at once. So yeah, if you guys have any ideas as far as cabinetry goes up here, I was thinking about maybe keeping one side of this open, that way then I could put stuff on top of the countertop, and maybe put some straps in here or something so that I could strap stuff down for stuff that I'm not planning right now to carry. And well, for me, as always, you guys need to go and check out the DIY Teardrop Campers community if you're thinking about building one of these, or you just want to see all the other cool ones that people are building, because they are really super helpful over there. They've definitely helped me out with this. I would not have been this far without them. So that is going to be it for me for the day, because, well, I am pooped and it is hot out here. So until next time, you guys have a good one.